Imagine a place with super tall mountains that almost touch the sky. They're covered in snow and look like giant, jagged teeth. Picture bright green valleys made by glaciers a long, long time ago, with colorful flowers all over the hills. This is the Swiss tectonic arena Sardona, a really beautiful place where you can see how powerful nature is. It's in Switzerland, and it's like a giant outdoor museum showing how the earth was made. Here, the mountains and valleys tell a story written in the rocks. It's a story about the earth crashing into itself and making huge changes, and scientists and explorers love it. The Swiss tectonic arena. Sardona is not just pretty to look at. It's like a science lab where geologists can figure out how our planet was formed. A long, long time ago, Africa and Europe basically crashed into each other really slowly. This pushed the ground up and made the amazing Alps that we see today. This crash is still happening today, making the mountains taller, even though wind and rain are trying to wear them down. Sardona shows us how powerful this is. Here you can see layers of rock that used to be underground but got pushed up and folded like a messy carpet. It's like seeing the inside of the earth, and it helps geologists learn about things that are usually hidden. The Swiss tectonic arena. Sardona is like a beautiful piece of art made by nature over millions of years. The main part of this artwork is the Glarus thrust, a giant crack in the earth where older rocks got pushed on top of younger rocks. It's really cool to see. This thrust fault shows how powerful it was when the continents crashed, and you can see it for over 20 miles. Imagine touching a rock on a mountain and realizing it used to be at the bottom of the ocean. That's what's so cool about Sardona. You can see how much time has passed just by looking at the rocks. You can even find fossils of sea animals high up in the mountains. These fossils are like clues showing us how much the earth has changed. Sardona is like a mix of lots of different stories from Earth's history, from old volcanoes to valleys made by glaciers. The Swiss tectonic arena. Sardona isn't just stuck in the past. It's still changing today. The same forces that made the Alps are still pushing them up, even while wind and rain are wearing them down. Glaciers, which are like giant rivers of ice, are still carving out valleys and changing the landscape. The sound of rushing water, rocks falling, and wind blowing through the grass. These are the sounds of the earth still changing. At Sardona, you can almost feel the planet's heartbeat. It's where the super long history of the earth meets the beauty of today. All this change is actually good for the plants and animals that live there. The different landscapes made by the mountains and the erosion make lots of different places for plants and animals to live. The steep cliffs are home to mountain goats, and the meadows have lots of colorful flowers. The Swiss tectonic arena, Sardona, is like a history book with layers. Each layer tells a story about Earth's past. It's a timeline going back millions of years. These layers shape today's landscape. Imagine hiking through time. Touch rocks from ancient deserts. Find fossils showing past oceans. Sardona reveals Earth's changes. Geologists study these layers. Each layer tells a story. Sardona's rocks show its complex history. Rocks shape the landscape. Wind, rain, and ice shape Sardona. In the middle of the Swiss tectonic arena, Sardona is something amazing that shows how powerful our planet is, the Glarus thrust. This giant crack in the earth, which you can see for over 20 miles, shows the forces that made the Alps and even whole continents. The Glarus thrust isn't just a line on a map. It's a real place where you can see the earth moving very slowly. Imagine standing at the bottom of a huge cliff and realizing the rocks above you used to be deep underground. These old rocks got pushed up by the Earth's plates crashing together and now sit on top of younger rocks, which is really strange when you think about it. This is called an overthrust. The Glarus thrust isn't just something from the past, it's still changing the landscape today. The plates are still crashing together, so the Alps, including Sardona, are still getting taller a little bit each year. The Glarus thrust is like a natural lab for scientists who study how mountains are made. Geologists from all over the world come to Sardona to look at the thrust fault and learn about how the Earth has changed over billions of years. What they learn here helps us understand earthquakes, where to find natural resources, and how landscapes change all over the world. The Swiss tectonic arena Sardona isn't just a bunch of old rocks. It's a living landscape that's always changing because of the Earth's movement and erosion. Even the mountains, which seem so permanent, are constantly being pushed up and worn down. This constant change makes Sardona a living artwork, made of rock, ice, water, and time. Even the tallest peaks are slowly being worn down by wind, rain, ice, and glaciers. This erosion creates valleys, shapes slopes, and moves rocks and dirt downstream. This erosion, even though it seems like it's destroying things, is actually important for making different habitats for plants and animals. Glaciers, like rivers of ice, are really important for shaping Sardona. As glaciers grow and shrink because of the weather, they carve out valleys, move giant rocks, and grind down rock into smaller pieces. The melting ice from glaciers makes rivers and streams, which change the landscape even more, and create places for water animals to live. Because of the Earth's movement and erosion, the Swiss tectonic arena Sardona is always changing. New landforms are always being created, and old ones are being reshaped. Every time you visit Sardona, it looks a little different. This balance of creation and destruction is what makes Sardona so interesting. It reminds us that even the things that seem permanent are always changing. To understand the Swiss tectonic arena Sardona, we need to go back in time, before the Alps existed. Imagine a time when continents moved slowly across the Earth. Plate tectonics shaped our planet, creating and breaking apart supercontinents. Hundreds of millions of years ago, the Tethys Sea existed between Europe and Africa. This ocean helped form the rocks of the Swiss Alps. Rocks and dirt piled up on the Tethys Sea floor, creating thick rock layers. As continents moved, the Tethys Sea disappeared. Africa crashed into Europe, changing the Earth. This collision formed the Alps. The Tethys Sea's disappearance and continental collision were pivotal. The ocean floor was pushed up, mixing rock layers. The Swiss tectonic arena Sardona shows this incredible history. Section 2. Collision Course, the birth of the Alps. The crash between Africa and Europe wasn't a quick event, it happened over millions of years. As the continents got closer, the pressure made the Earth's crust buckle and bend, like a tablecloth wrinkles when you push it. This buckling and folding is how mountains are made. Imagine pushing two carpets together. The edges will wrinkle and overlap, making a bump in the middle. That's basically what happened with the Alps. The pressure from the continents crashing made the Earth's crust get shorter, buckle and push upwards, creating a chain of mountains. The Swiss Alps, including Sardona, are a perfect example of mountains made this way. The rocks that used to be at the bottom of the Tethys Sea got squeezed between the continents. These rocks, which were originally flat, got folded, cracked, and pushed upward, making the peaks, valleys, and cliffs we see today. The continents crashing didn't just make the Alps. It also caused volcanoes, earthquakes, and erosion, which all helped shape the amazing landscape of the Swiss tectonic arena Sardona. Section 3. Upheaval and overthrust. The Glarus thrust emerges. As the Alps grew taller, the Glarus thrust formed. This giant crack shows how the Alps were made. Older rocks pushed over younger rocks. Imagine a layer cake cut and pushed at an angle. That's the Glarus thrust. The top part, older rocks pushed over younger rocks. This is called an overthrust. The Glarus thrust is a key geological site. It shows our planet is still changing. Section 4. Sculpting a masterpiece. Erosion shapes the Sardona landscape. Erosion is what made Sardona's dramatic landscape, with its tall peaks, deep valleys, and jagged ridges. Erosion isn't just about wearing things down. It also shows us hidden geological features and creates different places for plants and animals to live. Think of a sculptor chipping away at a piece of marble. Erosion does the same thing to the landscape, wearing down and moving rock. Glaciers were really important, carving out U-shaped valleys and moving big boulders. Rivers and streams, fed by melting glaciers, carve channels and carry rocks and dirt downstream. The combination of the Earth moving upward and erosion creates the Earth's surface. Sardona's amazing peaks and valleys show us this process. Sardona, a window into Earth's soul. Sardona is like a window into how the Earth works, where you can see plate tectonics happening. This makes Sardona a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Imagine seeing the Earth's plates grinding together, making continents and mountains. The Glarus thrust is a great place to see how mountains are made. Geologists come here to study the Glarus thrust and learn about the Earth's powerful forces. What they learn here helps us understand earthquakes and where to find natural resources. Sardona's UNESCO status shows how important and beautiful it is. Visitors can connect with Earth's history, see how powerful nature is, and appreciate the forces that shape our planet. Guardians of Time, preserving Sardona's legacy. Sardona is facing challenges from climate change and human impact. Because it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, we have a responsibility to protect it. Local communities, tourists, and visitors all share this responsibility. Climate change is making erosion happen faster, which changes the ecosystem. Protecting Sardona means finding a balance between protecting nature and allowing people to enjoy it. This means limiting how many people visit, making good trails, and teaching people how to hike responsibly. Scientific research and monitoring help us figure out how to manage the area. Educating visitors about Sardona's importance helps them understand why it needs to be protected. Sardona shows us how powerful nature is, and we need to protect it for future generations. Education, etched in stone. Sardona's living textbook. Sardona is a great place for students and researchers to learn. The rocks and fossils show how the Earth has changed. Educational trails and exhibits teach visitors about geology. Sardona attracts students and scientists for field schools and research projects. The region's landscapes make people feel curious and amazed. Sardona connects people with nature, making them curious and respectful. Sardona's significance beyond borders. Sardona is important for the whole world, not just Switzerland. Its UNESCO status shows this. Sardona is like a global classroom and research lab. What we learn here can be used all over the world. Studying the Glarus thrust helps us understand earthquakes. Switzerland shares what it learns about conservation and research with other countries. Sardona's landscapes attract visitors and researchers from all over the world. This helps people from different cultures understand each other and work together on science. Sardona shows how countries can work together to protect nature. Sardona is like a key to understanding Earth's history. The exposed rocks help us understand how mountains are made and how the Earth's plates move. Researchers are figuring out how the Earth has changed over time. Sardona's rocks hold a record of geological events. Geologists study the rocks to understand how the region was formed. The Glarus thrust is a great place to study how mountains are made. Understanding these processes helps us predict natural hazards. Sardona is a busy laboratory for Earth system research. Researchers do field studies and collect data in Sardona. Geologists take rock samples to learn about Earth's history. Ecologists study the plants and animals that live in the different habitats. Research in Sardona helps us understand natural hazards and how to manage resources all over the world. Sardona inspires future generations to take care of our planet. Its unique geology and landscapes are amazing. Sardona offers immersive learning experiences for students. Educational trails and exhibits make it easy to understand geology. Sardona's beauty makes people feel awe and respect for nature. It makes people feel connected to nature and want to protect it. The Swiss tectonic arena Sardona, with its tall mountains and green valleys, shows us Earth's powerful history. It's a living textbook of how continents have moved, how plates have crashed together, and how erosion has shaped the landscape. Sardona is a place for scientific discovery and inspiration. The Glarus thrust shows Earth's constant change and how mountains are made. Sardona helps us understand earthquakes and natural resources. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site with rich cultural history and unique biodiversity inspiring care for our planet. Sardona's legacy urges us to protect our planet and live sustainably for future generations.